Hey everyone, and welcome. I am so thrilled to have you here for today's explainer. If you love unpacking complex global shifts through really clear, structured information, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and honestly super urgent 2026 analysis by John M.K. Schott, the founder of IPE Services. His work highlights a massive operational gap in global AI deployment, and it's a gap that almost every enterprise out there is currently struggling with. We're going to map out the global regulatory landscape, figure out exactly why traditional compliance is falling short, and look at the structured methodology designed to fix it. Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll start with the AI governance arms race, then go inside China's regulatory web. Next, we'll examine the global AI deployment gap, introduce the IPE six-step solution, and finally tie it all together into the enterprise AI strategy. Let's get right to it. All right, Section 1, the AI governance arms race. High-level mandates versus reality. So the geopolitical landscape around artificial intelligence is shifting, and it's shifting incredibly fast. Take a look at this quote straight out of Chat's analysis. A governance arms race the West is losing. China quietly built one of the most comprehensive AI governance systems in the world. It's a huge claim, right? According to the source, while the US was kind of dismantling its federal AI oversight infrastructure and the EU was really wrestling with how to actually put the AI Act into operational practice, China took a very different, highly technical path. Which begs a pretty critical question. What exactly did Western observers miss here? How did this comprehensive system get built without raising more alarms? And more importantly, what exactly is inside it that totally changes the game for global enterprises? Let's take a closer look at the actual architecture they created. Moving into Section 2, inside China's regulatory web, from theory to enforceable spec. You see, China didn't just write a single overarching law and call it a day. They engineered this interlocking architecture of technical standards. And the pace of it is just relentless. The foundation was laid back in 2017 with some pretty broad cybersecurity and data security laws, followed by generative AI interim measures in 2023. Fast forward to April 2026, they rolled out trial measures for ethical review, and now they are even moving toward highly specialized proposed rules like anthropomorphism. It's just a steady, layered buildup of rules that are actually enforceable. And tucked inside those 2026 trial measures is one specific phrase that literally shifts the entire global paradigm. It reads, integrated throughout the entire process. As the analysis points out, this isn't just about an organization publishing some lofty ethics policy on their website and checking a box. No way. It requires full lifecycle process integration. You actually have to embed these ethical requirements right into the daily workflow of designing, operating, and eventually terminating an AI system. To give you an idea of just how granular this gets, look at the proposed anthropomorphism rules, which regulate AI that simulates human personality or emotion. These are shockingly specific operational requirements. It explicitly prohibits designing AI to induce addiction. It mandates a minor mode with strict time limits and, get this, explicit guardian consent. For elderly users, providers have to set up emergency contact protocols, and they are strictly prohibited from having the AI simulate a user's relative. So, no programming an AI to sound exactly like a grandson reminding someone to take their vitamins. They even require a dynamic pop-up warning after 2 continuous hours of use. I mean, this isn't abstract philosophy anymore. These are rigorous design specifications. Okay, Section 3, the global AI deployment gap, the missing operational link. Now, what's really interesting about this next bit is how it reveals a universal, basically fatal flaw. Let's compare the major players. China is focused on enforceable, layered rules. Singapore is putting out these incredible foundational frameworks. And the EU? They're mobilizing billions in funding and infrastructure. But look at the missing element across the board. None of them have an operational deployment methodology. Governments are writing these complex specs, but they aren't giving companies a structured way to actually build to them day in and day out. And to put that into perspective, just let this number sink in. 13.5%. According to the source, as of 2024, only 13.5% of companies in the EU had successfully adopted AI. That's a serious reality check. And it's not because we lack computing power or because the laws are unclear. It is exactly because of that missing operational link. Companies just don't have the structured deployment capability to turn this complex governance into their daily workflow. Which brings us right to Section 4, the IPE six-step solution, bridging the structural gap. So, how do we fix this?
Well, to actually meet these global requirements, organizations need a process governance layer. Enter John Kachat's Integrated Process Excellence, or IPE for short. Now, this isn't some untested theory. It's a framework with a 30-plus year history of ensuring operational excellence in super highly regulated industries, like aerospace and pharma. And now, it's being applied to AI. The steps are straightforward but incredibly powerful. Step 1, create a positive environment. Step 2, define the process. Step 3, document the process. Step 4, communicate the process. Step 5, measure and control the process. And finally, Step 6, continuous improvement. And this brilliantly illustrates how perfectly IPE maps to this new global reality. If you look at mandates from Singapore and China, they are demanding internal governance, data lineage, and stakeholder communication. Well, IPE gives you the exact tools to do that. Step 1 creates the environment for those internal structures. Step 3 turns your data lineage into systematic documentation. And Step 4 makes your stakeholder communication totally verifiable. Literally, every single regulatory demand has a corresponding operational step. Moving into our final section, Section 5, the Enterprise AI Strategy, Building Traceability and Value. So how do you take this whole framework and build true traceability? Because let's face it, the ultimate holy grail of AI compliance is causal accountability. To pull this off, IPE uses what's called a KIV, KPV, KOV architecture, specifically within Step 5. I know, a bit of alphabet soup, right? But it basically stands for key input variables driving key process variables, which in turn drive key output variables. In simple terms, it creates a causal data chain. So if your AI suddenly produces an undesirable output, this setup gives you a defensible, auditable record. You can trace that exact error all the way back to the specific data input or process condition that caused it. When you zoom out and look at the big picture, what you really see are converging global requirements. Whether you're looking at the EU AI Act, Singapore's model framework, or China's ethics reviews, they're all ultimately demanding the exact same things. They want full lifecycle process integration, clear rules for oversight, fully documented audit trails, continuous measurement, and totally transparent communication. So the crucial point we want to make here is this. The global regulatory frameworks are essentially writing the specification for IPE. The laws, the frameworks, those technical standards, they're really just the specs. But IPE is the actual machinery. It's the structured everyday methodology that you need to turn high-level compliance from a nice idea into an actual auditable practice. I want to leave you with a final thought to reflect on today. Take a hard look at your own organization and ask yourself, do you have the operational methodology to turn AI compliance into a real enterprise capability? Or are you just trying to check a box and hoping for the best? Because as we've seen, understanding the rules is really only half the battle. Actually deploying them, that's where the real work begins. All right, thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.